Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inspired Action. The goal of this podcast is to not only leave you inspired in some shape or form, but more importantly, that you're left inspired to take some kind of action in your own life. Inspiration plus action are a very powerful combination. The Inspired Action podcast is brought to you by Stage Fright Management, which provides cost-effective social media solutions to grow your brand. Check them out at stagefrightmgmt.com. On this episode of Inspired Action podcast, I have my good friend and mentor, Jordan Spillane. Jordan loves to support people like you to gain a clear understanding of how you are personally creating all the challenging situations you experience in your business and personal life. Once you understand how you're doing this, the dream of highly profitable business, strong relationships with staff and customers, or having quality time to spend with your family and friends all becomes possible. Enjoy.
And I think we're live, Jordan. So welcome to another episode of Inspired Action. This week I have my good friend and mentor, Jordan Spillane, on the show. It's been a while coming, this one, mate. I've tried to get Jordan on, must have been last year.
Yep.
And there was a bit of deliberation and him and Han, and then we're here now, though. Yep. So, I want to thank you for coming on. So, just to give you a bit of background, I've known Jordan probably for about 6 years.
Yeah, about 6 years. Yeah.
About 6 years. So, how I came in contact with Jordan was my best girlfriend, Bryony. I just noticed her going through a real shift in her life. And it was quite interesting that, she was just kicking goals, everything started I just noticed a real energy shift inside of her. And I was like, I asked her, I remember saying, what happened, or who are you speaking to, or what's going on with you? And she was like, I started speaking to this guy called Jordan. I says, well, who is he? What is he? What is he, a coach? Is he a therapist? What is he? She says, I don't even know what he's called. But he's like, he's a bit of a guru, a bit of a wise man. So she gave me his number, so she can give him a call. He gives you like a free chat to see what's going on, and then you decide whether you're going to work together. So that was 6 years ago, and I've been working with you on and off ever since. And I've anybody that's like, I've had massive shift in my life, and I'm sure anybody that's watching knows me would agree with that. But the other good thing coming off the back of that is any of my core group, my core friends, I've passed Jordan's details on to. They can't stop thanking me enough for actually, bringing them into their lives, because Jordan he's actually saved a couple of my friends from the brink of suicide and turned their life around. Well, being the assistant and turning the life around. So Jordan, do you want to give us a bit of background about you?
Probably good starting place is that I was born in Ireland, where we have a common thing. I was born in the south in Tipperary, and I come from a family of 8, so 6 boys.
Good Catholic family?
Yeah, good Catholic family. My mother was English, my father Irish, and about 62 we came out to Australia through England. We had to wait there for a year. I think they would have called us the 10-pound poms.
10 patties and 10 poms, yeah.
So I was about 8 then. So I spent 2 years of school in Ireland, and then we came out into Sydney, Australia. So I remember leaving Ireland, the teachers were all saying that there'd be kangaroos in the streets. And, this was my big expectation. I was kind of excited, but that certainly wasn't the truth.
They told me Australia was warm, and that's definitely not the case in Melbourne.
So I kind of started a trade, being Irish. My dad kind of, at that time, having a trade meant he was secure for life. So it made sense.
Get a trade behind you.
Yeah, how to get a trade behind you.
Yeah.
And so I did 4 years of earth moving equipment mechanics. I think they call it plant mechanic now. So I kind of went along to different things, and then I started to move up into sales, marketing. And probably the pinnacle of it in my life was when I had my own business and I got to the peak stage. That means I had $1 million in the bank separate from my business. I had a beautiful, stunning wife, 2 gorgeous children, and a white picket fence house at Camden, nice area, and a Saab convertible out in the driveway. This is the peak. And this was the lowest point in my life. So if you have any idea of how stunned I was because I can't make more money and be happier, and I can't fix anything because I can't see anything wrong. So at that point, I knew I was really in trouble. And then I made a vow, whatever it was, I would do it and I'd fix it.
So what was going on for you at that time? So you had everything that any man could ask for. You had the wife, you had the money and the business, etc. And then what was it that was sort of like not sitting well with you?
The truth was that I hadn't turned up.
Right. In what context?
In that I wasn't actually present. It's like you'll see wealthy people now. We have one here, James Packer, who's been in for depression and things like that. I kind of get it. And so it looks like all these material things that then I'll be happy. But if you're not happy, you can have all the material things. You can have the beautiful women, you can have the children. But if you're not happy at your core, it just plays out in your life.
It does. Cool.
Yeah. So.
And then what happened?
Well, next time I'm going to get a lawyer to negotiate with God or the divine, or whatever you call it.
Right.
Because I did say whatever it takes. And next time I'll ask for a little clause that I want to keep my money, I want to hold on to this, hold on to that. Yeah. So step by step, everything went.
Right. So you lost the business.
I lost everything. But remember what I said, the high point of success, it was the lowest point. In truth, as I was losing all this, I was becoming more and more solid. That's kind of ironic.
And what do you mean by solid?
Just I was going back to my core. I never actually had a core.
Right.
So my foundations in my life were never solid. Right. Whatever I built would kind of tip over. So I went that way, tip over, that relationship would tip over. So there's always something.
Yeah.
And prior to that time, through luck, typically more luck, I could keep a couple of things floating so I didn't notice it. But once things were going one after the other, kind of a horrible place to be in because you're kind of out of control.
Yeah.
And so the journey did take me back to my core.
Right.
And so, in truth, I'd lost a lot of my solid foundations way back into my childhood.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And that's where it all stemmed from.
It did. It's not even a blame journey or anything like that. It's kind of more that you can see that it makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it's just more that it makes sense.
From a logical perspective.
Yeah. And so it's more rational, more pragmatic.
Yeah.
So I became really curious.
Yeah.
Absolutely curious. I thought it would be a 6 months journey, but actually it turned into a 20-year journey. And I think I've banged against every wall, so I've pretty much tried most things out. So I really have a PhD in what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so I tried everything. And I came to a point that if I couldn't see something work, straight away I kind of stopped doing it. If it worked, then I'd do it.
Right.
So,
yeah, I can totally relate to that. So, like, growing up, different things happened to me. I spoke to different kind of therapists, psychologists, clinical psychologists, coaches, master practitioner NLP, spent an awful lot of money and wasn't getting the answers that I really wanted. I was just going round and round in circles, basically. And then when I spoke to Jordan, it was just a game changer for me. It was such, and it was different. It was so different. Like your style, it's so different than anyone else's because you get to the core of it pretty quickly. But then, as you say, it takes time. It's not an overnight fix. It's not like a technique. It's like that stage of awareness, because that's what Jordan's basically an awareness facilitator, because I think he just asked you, what are you? And he didn't even really know. It was like, well, you create awareness in yourself, so then you understand from a logic perspective what's going on, and then change can occur. But that's, I suppose, the hard part, is where the change and going into stuff and dealing with stuff and expressing stuff and talking about it occurs. So what happened then? You said you went on this journey for 20 years. What brought that to an end, or is it still going a little bit?
I think it continues on. That's why I don't really see myself as a guru. And when I work with clients, I really come from the point of view that they're kind of perfect already.
Yeah.
But they're doing funny shit that they can't see.
Yeah.
More like that. And so if they're perfect, I don't need to fix anything. And most people are quite intelligent. If they see something they're doing that would block what they want, they'll tend to move towards it.
Yeah.
But my realization is if you can't see something, you can't move towards it.
And I can relate to that. It's you can't see the wood from the trees when you're in something. it's like trying to tickle yourself. You can't do it by yourself. It doesn't work. You need that outside set of eyes to call you on your bullshit, really, and go, well, you say you want this in your life, but you're getting this. What's happening? So that's why people say, oh, I don't need to speak to anyone. I don't need to speak to anyone. Well, if you're getting everything that you want in life and your heart is Larry, yes, you're fine. But if you can sit down and go and have a real honest, look at yourself and go, right, well, I want this in life, I'm not getting it. Why am I not getting it? Then actually speak to someone and shine a light on the reasons why and then work through that. It's like, you don't have to be sick to get better, is what I'm trying to say. It's it's a work in progress.
Yeah, it is. It's good. It's a good point. It's also that to realise you often can't talk to people around you. That means your family, your friends, or even people in work. The reason is often we're in situations that we're creating. So it's not like we're not creating, but believe me, you can create unconsciously. And so what you're actually unconsciously asking for, you keep getting.
Yeah.
That means if I want relationships that don't give me what I want, I'll keep showing up until I can see what's really going on.
So that's why people keep attracting the same partner over and over and keep pointing the finger at them going, they're nuts, she's nuts, he's nuts, and it's like, and it keeps, that's vicious cycle keeps repeating itself, and it's not until you actually take a look at what you're doing to attract that, nothing's going to change.
Yep. You often don't notice it because people in your circle are kind of doing the same thing. So if you have a fantasy strategy, the fantasy strategy will be played out in your group.
Yeah, everyone's doing it.
Yeah, like men who don't like women tend to be around other men that don't like women.
Yeah.
They're not conscious of it. And women that don't tend to like men will tend to talk about men with women the same way.
Yeah. So I suppose the most fascinating, I want to get into that whole why we do that. So it's, your ego structure. So I suppose the most fascinating part of what I learned on our first sort of few sessions was the fact that I used to think there was the ego and the true self. So one was right and one was wrong. And it was like, turning out for me, it was they're fucking both wrong. Right? Not like, it wasn't like, I was like, oh, listen to the angel on this shoulder and then the little devil on this shoulder. I thought one was right and one was wrong. But what I learned from you is that there's actually two parts to the ego and then the true self and behind. Is that fair to say? Is that a good way to describe it? Or how do you describe that?
It's a good comment. It's a good way of looking at it. Often I refer to it more that just think of things in pragmatic terms. And again, I want to avoid, because I don't like in terms of blaming parents and all this, because it's unhelpful. Because then you focus on a problem, and it increases.
Because they've done the best they could with what they knew.
Absolutely.
So it was like,
and no matter what that is, they did the best they could.
Yeah.
So it's more like if you are an innocent child, and that's the only one you have in front of you, of course you're going to pattern yourself to survive. So with your mother, if she doesn't nurture you, you're going to kind of die. So to survive, you may copy her, and then you will think it's positive. That means if your mother's overwhelmed, powerless, you'll take on that imprint.
Yeah, and you think, and that's one side.
Just one side of my brain, and then you'll go to the other side. You'll see Dad could be angry, withdrawn, and then how do I relate to that part? So now another imprint.
Yeah.
So imagine around 5 or 6, like a computer, this was all programmed in.
Yeah.
It's like I went down to the local kindergarten, got 2 5-year-olds, and they're going to run your life.
Yeah.
So you may hear 2 voices in your head. So one might be, I should take the promotion.
Yeah.
And the other one say, no, not good enough. Or that guy's not good enough for you. Or this. So you're always toing and froing. So you'll kind of notice in the end, you're in powerless situation.
Yeah.
Kind of in that middle. And this is where fantasy can come in. So then you will make it positive.
Yeah.
And you'll start talking as though this is positive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I've done it myself. And you'll believe it. You'll actually believe your own fantasy.
Because it's familiar.
It's so familiar.
And that's what you think, because you grew up in that dynamic.
Yep.
And you think, like, I just use the example of love. Like, so the love that you maybe got from your mum might have been overbearing, anxious, warrior.
Yep.
Not speaking about anyone in particular. And then the dad side might have been disconnected, emotionally disconnected, gone, withdrawn, very quiet, and you think that's love too.
Correct.
And then you grow up with these dynamics of attracting either that kind of woman, like the relationship that you have with your dad, or that kind of woman, the relationship you have with your mum, both of which you thought was love.
Yes.
And but you're not getting what your heart wants. Ultimately, it's just frustrating.
Well, what's interesting is then the effort you go in to make non-love be love.
Yeah, fantasy.
Yeah, so you'll override the truth.
Yeah.
And so you'll be around other people doing the same, so you don't notice it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And the same in business. If you have the same relationship with money or other things, you'll try and convince yourself. But the truth's always the truth.
Yeah.
So I have my truth, you have your truth, but there is the truth.
Yeah.
And so it's just all linked.
Yeah, the business, finances, career, relationships, they're all the same sort of types of energy.
This is what's fascinating. Yeah. So in my life, my dad's energy, I've worked for most of my life, working life, and I've worked for people. I think the only time was when I was in the software company. It was kind of like my mum's energy. So it's good to identify it. And I love my parents and all that. It's not about this. It's just familiar.
Very familiar.
Yeah, and so for me, there was although my mum and dad were really good people, they are good people, there wasn't a great intimacy, energetic intimacy.
Yeah.
And so for me, not to have an energetic intimacy meant love.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange that you kind of look for it, but that's the only thing I know.
Yeah. And it's the same for, say, the girl who grew up in a aggressive household where the dad used to beat up the mum. She might grow up, attracting then the same kind of guy and then wondering, it's just going to repeat itself, that whole dynamic. And then she attracts another guy and the same thing.
Yep.
So that's how what we're talking about here. That's how it works.
Yes.
We're programmed from the get-go.
We're programmed, and see, like I say to often people, there's no better people than other people. After 20 years, I kind of figure that this is just my point of view. We're all divine beings, whatever that means. We're all unique. So there's only one of us in the world. But we have this program that we have done. So it's not like anyone else has done it. We've kind of programmed, we've made it up, but we then forget that this is not us.
Yeah.
And we start to play with this program on our world as though this is the truth. But by looking at your own life, you'll soon see whether it's the truth or not.
Yeah. And that's, I suppose, what we talked about earlier before we jumped on the podcast about the likes of Tony Robbins and all of the different, the gurus in the arena. And it's like they've got their way that works for them.
Yep.
But as you just said there, everyone's different. So everyone's got their own ego structure that either hinders progress in their own life. And there's only one way is to go through your own.
Yep. This is a good point you're raising. It's more like each person's a unique being. So there is no one way.
Yeah, because
it probably took me to the point of when I realised that I can't help people because I haven't lived your life. And so then if I assume I can help you in the way I think, it's actually false.
Yeah.
And so I remember when I came to that realisation, I've been doing this work for 4 or 5 years, not quite gung-ho about it, until I finally come to realisation that it kind of wasn't working the way I wanted.
Because you had different expectations.
Yeah, I had clear expectations I could help people.
From your perspective.
Yeah, but in reality, I needed the help.
Yeah.
And so, and so I realised this is not a good way. If I need help, it's like I'm drowning and I want to go and help someone else is drowning. So probably not a good strategy for the client either. So then I came to the realisation that the client is both the problem and the solution.
Yeah.
And they are going to make the solution. So all they need to do is get an objectivity around it.
Yeah.
So it's not like therapy, because if I focus on a problem, it will just manifest and grow and grow. It's more just, wow, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That this is happening.
That's what I noticed when we were speaking to counsellors and stuff. We just fucking talked about the same shit, round and round in circles. And I was like, I don't really want to talk about this anymore. Like, I'm over it. Like, I'm reliving, the stuff. And it's just like, yes, I get you have to express emotions and, purge, blah, blah, blah. But there's no end in sight here.
I did it for 7 years. So I mean, one day a week. 7 years? Shit. Thank you. So there's nothing. Well, it's not that. I just want you to hear. I tried all the things, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm not trying to bag therapy or anything like that. Everyone has their modality and what they need to do.
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works for you. But the irony is that if you can understand this program that you've put in, then you kind of just stop doing it. Yeah, so it's not about changing. And if you stop doing it, you'll notice that you start moving back to your authentic self.
Yeah.
And you'll notice, or other people will notice, you start becoming more solid. So you don't become needy or you don't become aggressive. You just become solid.
But from my experience, that solidness is a very unfamiliar feeling. So you kind of freak out a wee bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, like maybe a new relationship and it's brilliant and it's not like nothing you ever had before. You kind of get a little bit, whoa, this is different than normal because of your ego dynamic, which is all either anxious, worrying, or closed off and distant.
Yep.
What you think love is, blah, blah, blah. So that's the kind of hard bit because people then retreat back into safety or what they think is they know, I suppose.
Well, this is exactly what you're saying. It's like, that's why I normally start with their focus. But I'm talking about focus in terms of where you're going to put your energy. Like I want a loving relationship.
Goals.
Yeah, but we talk goals. It's like a child. I've got to get this. Focus means that I want a loving relationship. And what that means to me is, as we talk, anything in you that doesn't want this will start coming up.
Yeah.
And you just say, I'm noticing all the coldness, I'm noticing people aren't loving. It's not a bad thing. And what we normally do is we retreat from it.
Yeah.
But I'm encouraging you to go into it. And as you go through it, you'll start to see what you think isn't true.
Yeah.
This is why I'm talking about what the truth is. And I often say to my clients, imagine if 95% of your thoughts and feelings, although valid, was not the truth.
Yeah.
Just programmed in.
So 95% of your thoughts and feelings, although valid, aren't the truth.
Yeah.
That fucks up your life, like, in a way that you go, shit, what am I doing here?
But look at the world.
Yeah.
And so we all expect it's going to get better.
Yeah.
But the problem is also in each of us individually.
Yeah.
And so we kind of left our divine perfection to carry out this quasi egoic game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. I mean, I use a lot of humour because, it is. I often consider the world looks like run by 5-year-olds. And a lot of us are participating as 5-year-olds in the world.
Donald Trump. He's definitely not even 5. He's about 3.5.
Yeah. And I have a Donald Trump in me. It's the fantasy one.
Yeah.
And I'm a legend in my own mind. And so, that's why I don't judge anyone or blame anyone.
Yeah.
I can see these aspects in me if I really look and say, wow, I have that coldness. Wow, I have this and I have that. And it stops me judging anyone. And it's pointless. It's just an absolute waste of time, judgment or blame of yourself or anyone else. And also seeing things as good and bad.
Yeah.
They must be a good bunch and they're a bad bunch. Truth is they're probably a mixture of all these things for various reasons that you may not realise.
There's no right or wrong.
No right or wrong.
It
just is what it is.
Like that's, I suppose, something I really learned over our years, and probably really this year, maybe in the last year, is getting to that stage of you can't judge anybody. Like it's because you're just judging yourself.
Yep.
That part of yourself that you're denying about yourself.
Yeah, you don't want to see it.
You don't want to see it, and you can't accept it about yourself. And this whole journey, I think, comes back to just accepting yourself, warts and all, but not even judging the warts.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got it. Everyone's got warts.
Yeah.
So talk us through. I'm interested then if you talked about that's the first step is you have to focus, and I suppose that's something that's different from your traditional therapy. Psychology, it's having an actual intention or like an end outcome that you want. So, for example, you usually work around, would you say this is correct, about finances, relationship, business or career? Like usually those are the 3 main areas that stuff falls into whenever people come to you.
Yeah, that's why I normally get them to select 2 goals in each area.
Yeah.
It's not the purpose of, you can have many of them, but if you have too many of them, you can't see it really coming. And it's important because, at the end of the 3rd session, I offer you money back. So you can't see something happening in your world.
Yeah.
So it's not between me and the client or me and you. It's between you and your world. Yeah. You want what you want. So it doesn't matter really so much what's happening here. It doesn't even matter that much what I say. It's just that you're getting what's going on and now you're playing with it. So it's more like you're playing with your world.
Yeah.
And you're saying, holy crap, this is working, but I actually feel it shouldn't work, but it is working.
Yeah. It goes against the grain.
It goes against what you're thinking. Well, this shouldn't work. And, and so often when I've run sales people and all that, they'll often go to clients that pay the lowest money because there's something in here, and the client who pays a lot of money, they'll hardly ever see them.
Yeah.
So we do this in business. And so we attract people around us, just mirroring.
They're just holding a mirror up.
Yeah. So someone, he can be a criminal. He really loves money. Money loves him. It doesn't make any judgment. And a lot of people will have in their minds money means bad or whatever they think, and maybe I have to live without it. It's not whether money's good or bad. It just is.
It just is.
It just is. Yeah, and you've got to see what's my relationship with money.
Yeah, and it usually comes back to the relationship with yourself.
Yep.
So talk us through the stages. So number one is the setting goals, as we say, and then what's the sort of next step after that?
Well, normally in the thing we talk a bit about what's going on in their life. So it could be, I'm noticing I've just failed another relationship, or I'm noticing my business is struggling, and those staff are not performing. All these are mirrored in your outer world, but it looks like this is happening to you. But of course, if it's happening to you, you're kind of powerless.
Yeah.
And so the shift that's required is that you become empowered and see how you're doing it. Because if you can see you're doing it, you can make different choices and different strategies.
Yeah, looking at yourself as a cause rather than an effect.
Yeah. And so again, there's no blame or judgment. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So, if I had people around me in my childhood who were unsafe, then I'd have staff that were unsafe.
Yeah. Volatile.
Yeah. Volatile. And if I didn't have a loving environment, I'd have a work environment that wasn't loving.
Yeah.
Ironically, my plastics company, it's kind of funny when I look back now, I call it like a relationship company. But in truth, it was a non-relationship.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anything about relationship myself.
Yeah.
So it was taking 20 years to work it out. And so it was more like a non-relationship company pretending to be a relationship.
Yeah. Because most people keep it separate. Like they keep, my business is totally different from my relationships and totally different from, how I look at money and stuff. But it's all linked. It all comes back to the same thing. Yeah.
I was talking to an accountant running an accounting practice, and he said, I don't get how this can affect my relationship at home. Like, how can that be the same? And I said, what do you do with your wife? He said, I always take her flowers every Friday night. So I said, did your dad take her flowers? His mum. He said, yeah. So you just do that habitually. You're not actually making a decision. You're just doing something.
Tradition.
Yeah, and it becomes nice. I must be a nice guy. And so he said, well, what am I supposed to do? I said, well, don't tell her, but I want you to go into the florist and I want you to pick every flower she'll like, put it into a bunch, still give it to her. And then next week I said, what did you notice? Did you get what you want? She had a completely different response. He said, I can't believe that. And I said, what do you think that attributed to? He said, I don't know. I said, you were present. You actually put energy into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she could feel you were giving something that you cared about. So I can imagine what your sex life would be like if this is what's going on. But I said, now imagine that's one of your customers. You're taking them out to lunch. You're thinking, well, I'm giving them lunch. Look how good our relationship is. I'm thinking, probably paying him too much.
Yeah.
I can afford to take me out to lunch.
Right.
And so I have no idea what he's thinking. So I said, I bet you anything that you work back late at night and just staff leave at 5. Did you? He said, how do you know all that? I said, you've already told me.
Yeah.
So the irony is, it's not like I'm a wizard or whatever. The ego likes to talk.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. It's like I tell you, and then you tell me back, and go, fuck. Aha. Right, okay. That's the awareness.
That's right.
And then understanding
is
the next part.
Yeah, and that's why I share the notes with you. So I don't keep notes to myself. After a while, it's like, this is kind of making sense. So you're really driving the car.
Yeah.
But you may think I'm driving. No, I'm in the passenger seat.
You're the tour guide.
Yeah, I'm just making observations. You don't have to turn right. You're always in charge.
Yeah.
And so kind of interesting where we go.
So that whole part of sharing it with you, and the most honest and open way possible, that helps you help them.
Yes. Well, they're actually, ironically, they're kind of helping themselves.
Yeah, just through you as a channel sort of thing.
And that's why when they say, how did you know that? They'd be surprised.
I think that's what I'm
saying. Because you told me. And so you'll see all these signals from your outer world reflecting back to you.
Yeah.
But you can't see it, but I can see it in the story and say, okay, that's where we need to go.
And that's the most powerful, I think, the dynamic of our relationship is you can see what's really going on when I can't, and then you don't even tell me. You let me tell you, and then you reflect it back, going, well, does that make sense to you? And it's always logical to an extent. It's just logical. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you can make a decision from there to change that behaviour or whatever's going on for it.
Yeah, that's a really key point you raised. If I tell you what it is, it's like reading a book on relationships. Oh yeah, that's it. Then I don't do anything.
Yeah.
But when you think, oh shit, could this possibly be this?
Yeah.
You say, wow, yeah. Then the shift starts going.
Yeah, books have their merit, but
They do.
Like as you say, if like Anthony Robbins wrote that money book, and everyone that read it became rich, like that would be the ideal thing, but it doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
You know, you get little bits of nuggets of different books. Like I've read so many books, and it's probably a hindrance to me, as you'll probably agree.
And well, see, the trouble is all the reading and that's going into your mind. Remember I said about the program in the mind?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 2 5-year-olds reading it, and then they make it mean what they think it means.
Right.
So, you know, I'm a goddess, and these are here, and I should attract that. But that may not be what other people are feeling about that person.
Yeah.
And see, this is where having someone outside of you being really truthful.
Yeah.
So it's really the most valuable friendships you can get in your life are people who will tell you the truth.
Yeah, no holds barred.
Yeah. And that was the mentor I had. Because I have the same problem. It's not like I'm different. And even today, can I still get caught in the same spots? Of course. So I'm not special.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I've noticed as we converse truly to each other, your egoic structure gets used to talking really truthful in a way that resonates with you. And then you start to think, well, if I can do that with him, he's not special, and I'm not, then I must be able to do it with anyone.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah. It's like, because sometimes you're making a decision that I notice there's part of me wants to say this, but it's really has me agitated or not feeling that good. And then the other side, the other voice is, no, you should make this decision and say this, but that doesn't feel right either. That's like sort of middle road.
Yeah.
That you feel really solid and then go, that makes sense. Yeah. This is the truth. This is where the solidness comes from.
Yeah.
And it might be a bit of both.
Yeah.
It might be in the middle of, you know, one extreme to the other, because that's what I find these 2, you know, 5-year-olds in my head, it's one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
And they both don't get me what I want, but that's what I'm used to.
Yeah. What I found in my own head, the 2 were extreme, but they didn't like each other.
Right.
So you can imagine how that mirrored. And so often you get caught in one half of yourself, but it's like a wheelbarrow with one wheel off, you know, double wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
You kind of go around in a circle. When you come back to the same spot, you realise, oh, I've been here before.
Yeah.
And then it's the other way, you go the other way, but I've been here before.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the same results.
Yeah, the best way I looked at it is imagine your ego or your mind, the energy of your mind, the masculine energy being the engine in the car.
Yeah.
And imagine the brakes and all the upholstery is feminine energy or mother energy. And it kind of, then you hop in the car to drive it, just like you go outside. But imagine there's no puff in the engine. So you can't go anywhere, you're just sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah, nice car.
Yeah, nice car and all that, and you can't drive it.
Yeah.
And then you go the other way. The engine's fired up, you're ready to go. You can hear it, but the brakes are on. So you can kind of see, if I don't kind of pick the middle road, one side's going to sabotage or the other.
Yeah.
It's like 2 children. Everyone knows when you're with children, when they get up in the morning, Dad, can I go to the beach today? I really want to. And the other one says, I want to go shopping. You know, if you just go to the beach, the other one's likely to kick sand in the other one. You know, you've got to spend all this time resolving it. And, of course, a wise middle path would be, because we don't need skin cancer and that, we'll go for a swim in the morning, drop by the shopping centre. So I've heard both sides.
Yeah, acknowledge both sides.
Yeah, so it's not avoiding the ego. That's why I make it really cute.
Yeah, because people do try and like avoid the ego at all costs and try and shut the ego out and, you know, move out the Byron Bay, smoke weed, and then a yurt, and I'm just full of love. And it's called class as spiritual bypassing sort of thing. It's just like they're avoiding actually doing the work.
Yeah, so that's exactly what you're saying. So you'll notice more and more that this way of avoiding it is really strong. So people often ask me, do you feel that like we're in a spiritual world, whatever that means? I said, no, we're actually, my observation, we're in an egoic world.
Totally.
So, half the world's dying from starvation. We're all connected. So how can this happen? And how can we build more and more bombs and we could destroy the earth 10 times over, and yet we could have 30 million people in poverty and we could have the other half starving? So it was kind of insane.
Definitely insane.
Yeah. And so men will work really hard at their careers and jobs, and they'll tell me they're doing it for their families. And I ask them if I can ask their wife and children whether they're happy with this. Of course, it's not true. Like, it's valid to them, but it's kind of insane.
Yeah. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. And then it's really important to, another thing that I think is missing from your traditional therapy is you measuring what's going on. So your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So it's actually measuring, are you getting the results that you want, like in a relationship? Are you getting, what your heart wants? Or in business, are you meeting your income goals, etc.?
Yeah. And then again, if it's like a game, there's no judgment. It's kind of like I encourage the game, because I'm not here to judge anyone or blame anyone. I don't mind what results they're getting, up or down. Mm-hmm. It's just become real curious. Mm. So I'm not converting people. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting the love I want. Then how would I measure it? So if I can't measure it, I can just fantasize.
I can't change it.
And I can't change it. I don't know what action to do because I can't see what's really going on.
Yeah.
So first is the truth, your truth.
Yeah.
So ironically, because I work with couples in different ways, couples often ask me, why can't I just work that out with my partner? I said, the problem is we often attract a partner because of the same wound.
Yeah.
It's not like Hollywood love and all this. It's a wound. And so you both may have the same wound, but you'll both do different strategies. Yeah. So one might be, I want to change you, and the other one will, I want to withdraw from you.
So give us an example of a wound where the couple has a similar wound from childhood. Give us an example of what it was.
Well, I can give you mine.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of a numbness. So my strategy, of course, my heart wanted connection, but my strategy was to go numb.
So that was the wound.
That was the wound. And so to my wife or partner would look like I'm abandoning.
And where did that wound stem from for you?
From my childhood.
So from your parents?
I did not from the environment and what I made it mean. So it doesn't even, you can have a really good situation, still you're going to make up your own stories. That means I can be in a wealthy family, fed, but my dad dropped me, I can't trust me.
Yeah.
And then I don't, it's just like that. It's just, you make it up.
Or you lost your terrier, I don't trust myself.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of just
like, as a kid, that's valid.
That's very, that's why I say it's valid. It is very valid, but now you're an adult running the same program.
Yeah.
So your sales manager could be someone with grey hair. I've got a bit of grey hair, so I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
So we have to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So a lot of this thing is more subjective than objectively looking at it, considering. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked, particularly in business, and the business people in it are actually aspects of the owner. Of
course.
And but they don't realise that. And so what they want to do is change the outside structure without looking at what they're doing.
Yeah. So they sack all these people, hire new people, and next thing it starts happening again.
Unfortunately, I did that one. So it's why I said I'm not putting myself as a guru, and I just rehired the same again, all the same energies with just different bodies.
What did you think back then? You were saying like useless, or did you just point your finger and go, what the fuck?
No, I thought there's opportunities here, so we get the right people. When I hear there's the right people, they're always the right people. It's just something I'm not getting.
Yeah, because you're not right.
You're correct. Right? Of course, that's a lot. That's easier than look at, why am I picking a partner like that?
Yeah.
So often if women say to me, my husband's an arsehole or whatever, I'll say, so why'd you pick an arsehole? It's a valid question.
Yeah.
Yeah. This we could work with.
Yeah.
And what you want to change it. So if you've learned anything from dealing with human nature, you can't change another person.
And you can't help another person.
Not in the way you think, no.
Yeah.
But ironically, when you become solid, you become a gift to those very same people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So talk us through then, Jordan, whenever someone comes to me with some sort of problem, whenever I sort of pick up what's going on, I'm just saying the best person for you to talk to is, my mentor, Jordan. Send him a text, he'll give you a call, and you just have a quick chat for free on the phone.
Yep.
And then, then you work together or whatever. But talk people through the process that you start and why you do it over the phone, etc., and the process and how it works.
Okay, well, the reason of the free 30-minute chat is because why could I assume that I can be of service to you?
Yeah.
And so in 30 minutes, I can evaluate, they can evaluate, because they're going to make a decision. It's kind of like whether we sync or things like this. So the more that I don't judge anyone, I don't think I hardly ever get rejected in this way, which is kind of interesting. And then the next step is for them to consider their goals. Some people start getting clear on their focus on the 6th session. Someone won, so there's no right or wrong. And it's all kind of perfect. What I say to them, everything that happens between us is kind of meant to happen. Even if you're late for appointments, you do this, you're kind of now in the world with me and I'm observing you. Even if you pay me late, even if you do this, there's no accidents. But I'm not judging.
Yeah, that's the key that makes people feel that's one of your gifts, I think, is you trust you like that, and the non-judgment, because then I open up more to you. Because like if you're telling, like I was telling my sister or a friend, they say you always do that, or you're always blah blah blah, and then it makes you feel worse. Your ego kicks in your back, and then you withdraw and shut down. Whereas none of that's with you. You just talk it through, and there's a lot of humour because it's laugh. It's like it lightens the whole process.
We're Irish.
And we're Irish. So and then a lot of people ask me, I'd rather do face to face, but Jordan works over the phone he calls your mobile. But what's the importance of that from your perspective, and then from the client's perspective?
Well, I came from a therapist's perspective originally, so I thought face to face.
Yeah.
And I was also trying to help them. And so at the same time, I had some clients in another state. I just couldn't do it face to face.
Yeah.
And so I was doing them, over the phone. And I noticed a big change. The ones over the phone were going 10 times quicker. And that just didn't make any sense. So I really had to reflect on this. Why is this happening? So anyone that's worked with people in therapy and all that, you have rejection.
Yeah.
So, that means if a woman sitting in front of me, I may be like her father. She has to work through all this crap out before we can really start working together.
Yeah.
But see, I'm not in therapy. I'm not trying to therapize them. I'm not trying to fix them. So the truth becomes the truth.
Yeah.
And so ironically, I don't care what they look like. It's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And often I catch up with my clients and I know them really well.
And then you meet them in person.
And I can't tell you.
I know, I was one of them. I remember speaking to you on the phone for so long, and I met you, and I was like, you do not look like the person.
Yeah.
You do not like the person I imagined.
Yes.
That I was speaking to you on the phone.
But it's funny for me because, I don't know whether I hug them. I know them really well, and yet at the same time, I've never met them socially.
Yeah.
So often with women, I have to ask them, look, I'm not really sure, do you want me to hug you, or I don't know what we need to do next.
So it's awkward.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward.
Level.
Yeah, but from the opposite. I know the person really well, but I just don't know them socially.
Yeah. And the other thing that I noticed on the phone is you pick up on my tonality. Like tonality is like, what is it, like 80% of body language these days or something, 75%, 80%. And the other thing that I notice is like I'm listening to you. There's no other modality. I'm not looking at you, looking at what you're wearing or looking out the window. I'm just zeroed in. So it's a real, I found it's a real strong connection on the phone. So that's what most people ask. It's like, why did you do it on the phone? Yeah. That's basically why.
Yeah.
And you offer full 3-session guarantee. So it's 1, 2, 3 sessions, and then after 3 sessions if the client's not getting any value, you can get a full refund, no questions asked.
Yep. They just send me an email. I don't even ring them and ask them why. Just your bank details and I'll send the money to your account.
Yeah. Many times does that happen? 4. And how long have you been doing this?
20 years.
20 years. That's a pretty good hit rate.
No, it's just interesting because I do it because it's not, it keeps me on my toes. I really don't want to be paid if I'm not of service. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And, then I'm just doing it for money. It's not really that way. It's kind of, client wants what it wants.
Yeah.
And I want what they want. That's why it's different. People say when you catch up with friends, is it the same? No. I'm kind of there for my interest as well.
Yeah.
But when I'm on the phone with a client, I'm 100% there.
Yeah.
And so, as you said, it's not a tonality, but I also pick up the different egos. I can hear them.
Right.
In my ears. I know exactly, first 2 words, I know where you are.
Right. Yeah. Shit. No judgment. No, it's really powerful stuff. So if people wanted to, check out your website, what's your website, Jordan?
www.anotherpointofview.com.au.
Yeah, so anotherpointofview.com.au, and they can, if they want to book a complimentary chat with you, see if they have a good fit, they can do that there.
Yep, and there's no selling me from you, because if you listen to what I've said, there's no point.
Yeah.
Because if I sell you, then you're just going to get your money back after 3 seconds. What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no point.
And that's it. And I recommend everybody should have someone to speak to like Jordan, no matter who it is and no matter what kind of therapy is, whatever works. Like, I'm not bagging out. Just therapy and counselling didn't work for me. Jordan works for me, and a lot of my core group and family work, just as well with Jordan. And he's helped so much with a lot of my close friends, which has been great. And I can highly recommend him, 110%. And then, you can thank me later, basically. And I'm not even being arrogant saying that. I think everyone should have someone to speak to. As I said earlier, you don't have to be sick to get better. It's like you've got a dentist to help you with your teeth. You've got, a doctor, to help with your health. Well, sometimes, but you can't do this mind stuff yourself. As I said, it's like tickling yourself. It's just not possible. I think you can't see the wood from the fucking trees when you're in it. And I have a real respect now for people that tap out of this world. Like, suicide was a massive part of my life. Like, a couple of friends, close friends, that shaped my life with suicide. But I used to think it was selfish. But whenever you're caught in this ego trap and you think there's no way out, committing suicide is a real option, even though it's the worst probably thing that you could think of. But I really have an understanding and compassion for people that have, went down that pathway, rather than what I used to think, it's selfish, blah, blah, blah. It's a tough, the ego is a fucker.
And well, that's a gentle way of putting it, but yeah, no, it is. And so I guess that's probably what's driven me a lot, because I've had those experiences.
Yeah.
And people think people running businesses are all happy, they're driving around their cars. Believe me, a lot of them can be in living hell, and it's a growing hell, and yet we all look at it. And so that's why I say I have real compassion for people suffering, and the sad thing is that we're doing it unconsciously.
Yeah.
No one would do this consciously to themselves.
No.
And I certainly wouldn't have done what I've done to myself consciously.
Yeah.
For sure. But one point I want to make is that it's the same for me. I really don't want people to take that you're some kind of guru and do it. No, you're kind of the guru of your life. There's only one of you in the world. You're unique, and you have a unique journey. So I couldn't deal with masses, because you have your own individual journey, just like I do. And when I have been caught in my 20 years, I actually talked to a guy, Colin Clark. And the way I look at it, he was kind of a consistent anchor. I bounced all over the place, literally from one side of the world to the other. And because I wanted to figure this out in a pragmatic way. And so he stayed consistent. Everything else in my world fell apart. But he was consistent. We've maintained friendship to this day. Yet, ironically, how we would appear in each other's world is kind of like a miracle. We have very little in terms of background in common.
Yeah.
Kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
So,
and I use an analogy that's like, Super Mario. You're going through, people think, I'll just do my 6 sessions and then I'm done, I'm all good, I'm converted. But with Super Mario, you go through one level, you come to the end boss, you defeat him, you're on level 2, and there's probably 3,000 levels. Super Mario, and I think that's just the journey of life. It never ends.
Correct.
And you can choose not to, speak to anyone, and if you're happy and that's cool. Like that's
no, it's valid.
It's valid completely, 100%.
I have some people do 6 sessions and they get what they want to get. Again, it's only your measurement.
Yeah,
exactly. And I have other people, they're doing it because they're getting more money, getting more wealth, getting more. Of course, it's the same thing, but you have to measure it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be paying me unless I could see where I was getting what I want.
Yeah.
So why should it be indifferent for anyone else?
Yeah.
It's more like that.
Awesome. I think that's we pretty much put that on a nutshell.
We did.
If there's probably, I suppose, if there's one piece that's you could sort of piece of advice you could give people watching now that they could maybe start the ball rolling themselves if they didn't want to speak to you, that's cool. But if you give them one thing that that they could start running with now, what would that be?
It's a funny thing and I often stress it. It's you don't have to accept what I'm saying, but I just want you really to consider if 95% of your thoughts and feelings, I think mine was close to 99%, was not the truth, then lots of things will be going on in your world. And so what we often do is try and analyse it from our mind. But as I've said, it's kind of a corrupted process, so you can't work it out. So all the mind can do is go back to what's familiar. That's all it knows. And so what I would suggest is kind of notice things like
journal, start writing things down.
Well, in a more pragmatic way, because you can write a story from your mind, you can write screeds. It's more like, that's why I ask people just to write, and you'll see my notes are quite brief. Yeah, I notice that I'm always arguing with my husband, and if I really thought about it, I have kind of similar arguments with my boss and just someone in accounts. So kind of more broad-based, where in our mind we think, it's just here. When I go to work, it's different. And with my friends, it's different. But if I reflect on my whole world, this may be going on in other places in my world. I may not want to see it. But yeah, actually, I don't like that friend. And, because she's a bit bossy. And my partner seemed to be a bit bossy. And this is going on.
So you're you're taking a step back and looking at these sort of things that you notice, like from a overview sort of perspective, and going, oh, what's happening here? It's actually happening there, and then that's the awareness starting to kick in.
Yeah, so what role would I be playing in this?
Yeah.
Like, this is not happening to me. This is kind of something I'm doing, because if it's happening to me, I'm powerless.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing it, I'm also empowered, because that means if I can see what I'm doing, I can stop that.
Yeah.
So, but that's the only way, unless you can see what you're doing. I mean, really see it.
Yeah.
Not a Twinkie, oh, wow, I've seen it. The way you'll notice is your outer world will shift.
Yeah.
And you'll see something. Those relationships will start to change.
Yeah, because your outer world is a reflection of your inner world.
Yeah. It's like when I was working for someone, a good example of this, my boss, a kind of very controlling person, energetically. So I built this resentment up to him. And so it kept on going. And finally I thought, I'm either going to have to leave. But then I started to notice, this guy there is also one of my friends, and I don't spend a lot of time with him either. And I was thinking of other situations similar. So, okay, what would I typically do? I could walk away from it and intellectualize. I don't need those people in my life. And we were talking next time, and he'd always rule me. He said, I'd tell him what we're going to do, and he'd say, no, we're going to do this. So this time, I said to him, you're the boss, whatever you want, we'll do. And he said, why are you saying that? So I'm just acknowledging you're the boss. And we'll do whatever you want to do. I'll do what you want. And he said, what did you say again? So I explained it. And he said, no, we'll go with that. After that, I can't believe it, 95% of what I want, he did. Other people in the business asking, how come you get everything done? He just wanted to hear that I'd surrendered to him.
Right.
Just and he's saying he couldn't bear that energy that I was resisting him.
Right.
He didn't know this.
But it wasn't you actually giving all your power to him. It was actually you staying with it, but just acknowledging him.
Correct. And did I want what I wanted, or did I want to stay in this dynamic? I wanted what I wanted.
So you learned something from that.
He was a great teacher.
Yeah.
And so I get all these teachers that show up. They're like angels, but they don't feel like angels.
No.
They feel like crap.
Hell's angels.
Yeah, that's right. But I hope you're going to shout me Guinness after this.
Yes, we are going to go now for a Guinness, Scott. Well, Jordan, thanks a million. I think I loved it, and I hope someone if they're going through something in their life or just want to excel at something else, tap in and touch base with you and give you a call, because they'll see for themselves.
Yeah,
so they will.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to hook up with Jordan, just go to anotherpointofview.com.au and check out his website. There's a couple of testimonials on there. I'm on there. And then, see how you go. And thanks a million, mate.
I survived my first podcast.
Plenty more to come. Cool. All right, guys. I'll see you after Christmas. Have a good Christmas. And, Happy New Year. Peace.